Well, Ken, I would just like to start off saying thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So why did you join the service?
I didn't join. My senior year of high school, I failed English, so I had to go to summer school. And finished the summer course. I think that was the beginning of August. And on my birthday, I got a letter, and I opened it up and it says, "Congratulations, your friends and neighbors have..." And I still, to this day, want to find the friends and neighbors that wanted me drafted, to get even. So, but I was drafted out of high school, or you might say out of high school, because I finished, I had my diploma, and bang, I was in the service.
Right in the service, huh?
That's it.
What were you doing before you joined? Oh, I got drafted.
I was living in Jamaica Plain with my mother, and my mother owned a, back then we called them nursery schools, daycare center. And we took care of 55 kids a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. And at 18, 19, because I turned 19 in August, so I would go around in the mornings, pick up the kids, bring them to the nursery, and then I would cook the meals. After we fed them, I washed the dishes. In the afternoon, help get the kids up from their nap, and then bring them home. And after they were home, clean the nursery, got it ready for tomorrow.
How did your parents feel, particularly your mother, feel about you being drafted to go into the war?
She never said. My mother was a very quiet woman. She never let her emotions out. So.
Where did you do your basic training?
The Country Club of the Army, Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Do you have any interesting stories about basic training?
Yeah. My cousin Stephen lived in Maine. Now, my cousin and I were supposed to be born on the same week. My cousin was born 2 weeks early. I was born 2 weeks late. Okay, so everybody kidded us about one was early and one was always late. Well, Steve was drafted in the beginning of August. I was drafted in the middle of August. And I got down to Fort Sam, and I was assigned to barracks, put everything away, and I went to a movie. Next morning I got up, I went in and I was shaving, and I hear, "You son of a..." And I turned around, there's my cousin standing in back of me. I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "The same thing as you are." He says, "Got drafted." And so we went through basic training and AIT together. So, and he was from the state of Maine. So, but that was a little different.
Must have helped getting through it, having someone there with you.
Not really.
No?
No. It was like, you know, having a buddy or something, but, you know, you learn to do what they told you to do and what you had to do.
Right.
And, you know, pushing yourself to the limits is what they would do with you. And, you know, he was being pushed to the limits just like I was.
Yeah.
So.
What was that like, that shock of being forced into this basic training?
It's hard to explain, but afterwards you realize what they've done is they've broken you down, okay, so that you are mentally, emotionally, and physically not what you were on the first day. You are now what they want you to be, okay? And then they build you back up again. So first they break you, and that's the haircut and the clothes and, you know, the screaming and everything else, and waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning by throwing an empty tin can down the middle of the barracks. turning on the lights, and, you know, after a while, you get used to it. You know, you never really get used to it, but it's not as bad as it was in the beginning. So.
What was your military occupation?
91 A10 in the beginning, which is a field medic. And I took my AIT, excuse me, that's Advanced Individual Training, at Fort Sam, where I became a medical board specialist. That's 91 B20. And after I finished my training, I was sent to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, which is, they say, is the armpit of the Army. It's, if you know anything about Arizona, Tucson, okay, we were 90 miles from Tucson and about 15 miles from Tombstone, where Wyatt Earp and everybody else was. And that's where I took my Vietnam training. And learning about booby traps and how to spot them, learning about punchy sticks, learning what you do in the tunnels and what you don't do in the tunnels, and all that stuff. And then during the day you're learning that, and then in the evening or the afternoon you're assigned so that you're on a ward or you're in the emergency room or whatever. You know. So, and that wasn't bad, especially if you got ambulance duty.
Right.
During your time in Vietnam, do you know what you were fighting for?
We believed we were fighting to help the South Vietnamese people fight communism and get a government where something like we have, where the people were the ones that made the decisions, not the dictators.
Okay. Do you feel the United States government's mission was correct in doing this?
You're asking an explosive question. It's like a three-leaf clover. What they said, what they did, and what we did were three different things. Okay? They said they wanted to win the war. They wouldn't let us win the war. But we won all the battles. Okay? So how could we win all the battles, but yet lose the war? The politicians.
Were you happy being in Vietnam?
I wouldn't say happy, no. It's not something you're happy with. It was a beautiful country, you know, as long as you weren't in the swamps down south, but I was up north on the DNZ. But it was a beautiful country. And outside of the warring factions, the people were nice, generally, you know. They were nice toward us, and we tried, I know with my unit, we tried being nice to them when we go into the villages or, you know, with our wash girls, you know. We had a system that when we needed our clothes washed, the girls would come about twice a week, and the girl that did my clothes was my lead, and she had a sister, Eileen, and they would come either on Tuesdays or Thursdays, and we would give them 3 shirts, 3 pairs of pants, 3 t-shirts, and 3 socks. And they'd take them, they'd clean them, they'd iron them. If any of the any rips on them, the girls would sew them, and buttons missing, they'd sew the buttons back on. They bring them back and they'd say 2-pack Salem or 2-pack Cool, which was really a deal for us, since a pack of cigarettes over there cost $1.10, you know. So we got all that laundry done for $1.10. So, you know, it was great. And we grew an attachment to them, you know. But Papa San made sure we were on one side of the concertina wire, they were on the other, and when we walked through the villages, Papa San made sure that the girls were all behind him. Yeah, no touch. You know, so, but I think I was about the only GI that was allowed to touch any of them, you know, any of the girls, because being a medic, you know, senior medical corpsman. And, you know, I saw things that the communists did that the people back here didn't know about, you know, and the media wouldn't put it on the news, so people didn't know, you know, and I'm seeing it again today, and I'm afraid, because when when we started being called baby killers and, you know, just killers, outright killers, and we committed atrocities and all of that, the media was right there, and they saw what the communists were doing, but they never reported it, you know. And it started like it is starting again today. Oh, we're against the war. We're fighting against the war. We're not against soldiers, we're against the war. Well, as the peace movement grew, it wasn't just against the war. We were against the baby killers, and we were against the people that committed atrocities. And that's what I'm afraid that they're going to do with our guys again, and I'm scared for them. I don't want to see it happen to them like it happened to us.
While you were over there, did you know that the American government was lying to the public at home?
Yeah, we figured it out. You know, because, you know, we're told to get a body count. All they wanted was numbers, body count, body count, body count. And we're saying, what the hell good is a body count? You know, body count doesn't show anything. And there were times when we got a 3-day weekend because we had the highest body count in the area. So what if it was a butterfly? Butterfly has a body, right? We counted the butterfly, that's a body. We gave them what they wanted, numbers, you know? And the numbers were inflated on both sides, so.
Tell us about some of the acts of heroism that you saw.
There was a guy in my unit, well, first, I gotta back up. My unit had 2 basic MOSs. MOS meaning military occupational service, okay? You have the individuals that have them, and then you have the units, and they have them. Now, our primary was helicopter rescue and recovery. Chopper goes down, a plane goes down, we go out. There's 27 men in the platoon, but we've got all kinds of choppers. You know, we've got the Cobras, the Hueys, the Loaches, the 13s, and they're all flying above us, okay? We go in, we get the bodies, we get the survivors, we get them out of there, and then we get the aircraft out there, whether it be a helicopter or a plane. That was our primary. Our secondary was long-range reconnaissance. And it wouldn't matter if we were on reconnaissance or if we were trying to recover. If somebody got hit and I had to go out to get them, we had one guy, Willie, and Willie T should have gotten the Congressional Medal of Honor, because anytime I've had to run out under fire, Willie was out there behind me, jumping up and down, running back and forth, yelling, singing, screaming, whatever, to draw fire onto him and away from me while I went out and got the guy and brought him back. Okay? Willie T should have gotten a Congressional Medal of Honor for that. But because he was never wounded or anything like that, they didn't, it wasn't good enough. And what pissed me off when I came home is I'm hearing about all the problems between the black and white over in Vietnam. Okay? Willie was black as the ace of spades. I'm Caucasian and Native American. Didn't matter to him. If I had to go out, I was his medic and he was going to protect me, and that's how he protected me. Okay? He never thought of himself. He thought of me getting a wounded guy and bringing him back and saving the guy's life. That's an act of heroism.
When you came home, you said that there was this racial debate going on, also with the college students at home and their protests. Can you explain some of your emotions, and did you hate how the American people portrayed this?
It wasn't hate, it was disgust. I couldn't see how or why they were treating us that way. I mean, when I came home, I hid until I could grow a beard and grow my hair long, so that at that point I could walk up and down the streets. I was with the 1st Cavalry Division. When I came back, got off an airplane in TWA in SeaTac Air Force Base, Seattle, Tacoma. Went through the processing. 8 hours, 9 hours later, everything was done. Had my ticket to go home, and I went into the Seattle Tacoma International Airport. And the only way I could get home was to fly from Seattle down to LAX in California, and then go from LAX to Chicago, Chicago to Boston. Well, I got into LAX and I'm walking around, just enjoying the sights, and looking for these things that they call a micro mini skirt. We'd heard about them, but we never saw them. We saw a couple of pictures, but they were never on a real female, and we were looking. And my heart was broken because I'm seeing these girls with dresses down to their ankles. I missed the mini skirts and the micro mini and came back to the, I don't know what, I can't even remember what they called it, but all the skirts, the fashions are gone where the skirts were down to the ankles. Okay. But I figured there's still got to be a couple of girls who are out there wearing them. And I was out looking. Hey, I was a male, what the hell, And all of a sudden, Chips, Highway Patrol, walks up on one side of me, and airport security walks on the other and says, would you mind coming with us, please? And I said, what did I do? You didn't do anything. Just come with us, please. So they escorted me to a VIP lounge, And they asked me to stay in the VIP lounge until my plane was called, and then I'd be escorted to my flight. And I said, what's going on? Well, it seemed that they had what they figured out was a grandmother whose son died in Vietnam, and he was with the 1st Cavalry Division. And he stepped on a landmine or something, and there wasn't enough of him to send home. So that sent her off the deep end, to the point of, if her grandson couldn't come home, then nobody else that served in that unit should be able to come home. And she had a pistol, and she would walk up to anybody wearing the 1st Cav patch, pull out her pistol, and shoot them. And that was my first real contact with civilians after I came home. That was burnt into my mind. And then it was, you know, being called baby killer and being spit on in my uniform and being called a traitor and everything else, you know. And it really did a job on not only mine, but a lot of other people's minds, you know. We didn't come home to ticket parades or anything else. We got on a flight in Vietnam. 24 hours later, and it was funny, I remember, we were circling SeaTac, and the pilot came on the phone and he said, gentlemen and ladies, it's 3:50 a.m., September 19th, 1968. If you remember, we left the Republic of Vietnam at 0400, September 19th, 1968. We will be landing in 3 minutes, which means we are arriving in the United States 5 minutes before we leave Vietnam. Which, you know, we sat there and tried to figure it out. Ah, God, don't worry about it, you know. But we got off the plane. We went through processing. We got our uniforms. Here's your ticket. Here's a check. Here's some cash. Goodbye. And that was it. You know, no, if any of you guys have to talk about anything, no, any of you guys got problems, there was no bringing us back slowly or anything like that. I went from a rice paddy into a chopper, into a C-147, into a TWA, and home. Got off the plane. And if any of your guys ever get a chance to listen to a song by Charlie Daniels Band, it's called Still in Saigon. It talks about the mindset, how we hear things like the rotor blades of a helicopter, the smell of the jungle, you know, it's just the smell of wet grass and the wet trees. And it sends us back in our memories because we're still in Saigon. In other words, we're still in Vietnam in a lot of ways. We left our innocence in the jungle someplace. And until they built the wall, a lot of us carried the spirits of our friends on our back. And when they finally built that wall in Washington, it was a place that was holy enough and sacred enough to bring their spirits of legal. That's what a lot of us did. Any other questions?
Before we wrap this up, do you just mind briefly describing the medals that you're wearing right now?
That's the marksmanship expert for the M16 and the, what is it, 45? And there were some others, but I've lost them. This is the, I can't think of the name of it, a helicopter assault. There's also a school assault where a lot of the officers go to when they get that. This is the Dorchester Medal from right here in Massachusetts. And what it is like when veterans become the commander of their chapter or their, the DAV, it's a chapter, I can't think of what it is in the VFW, the post, that's it. Or the post of the different veterans organizations, when they reach the position of commander, then they're the city of Dorchester, town of Dorchester, allows them or gives them through the post or the chapter that medal. And it's just, you have to be careful with it though, because if it's inverted, it is the Berlin occupation medal, okay? So you have to be careful when you put it on that you've got the colors the right way. The next one is the Disabled American Veterans Membership Medal, past commander. And I've been the past commander of the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 13 of Dorchester, and I am again the commander this past year, and I've just been elected to another year. So I'm either doing something right or doing something wrong. I can't get out of the job. Let's see, that's the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, the Vietnam Service Ribbon, Vietnam Battle Ribbon campaign. That's the Bronze Star, no, National Defense, I'm sorry, that's National Defense, Bronze Star, the Air Medal, and the Combat Medical Badge. Cross the Gallantry Unit Citation from Vietnam, the Vietnam Service Ribbon, Unit, Meritorious Unit Citation, the United States Meritorious Unit Citation, and the Presidential Unit Citation. This is the unit crest of the 1st Squadron, 9th Cav, 1st Cav Division. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you.